Welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two Formula One brains. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Bubba O'Reilly host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the fifth and final part of the 1971 season. Let's go.
Yes, final, Luigi. It's final.
Final part.
We're gonna do it. Yep.
And Bubba
O'Reilly. Yes, you've used the Jackie Stewart Who song.
That's right. I mean, he won the championship, so might as well wrap it up with the song that featured Stewart in the film clip.
Did you watch it?
I watched it a little bit. I don't know if it featured more than just at the very beginning. I suspect it does. But it was a very brief snapshot of the beginning of a race. And it looked like Monaco. You said Monaco, didn't you? Yeah, so...
Yes, it was in Monaco, yep.
There's a lot of pop culture in that film clip. So, and it's a pretty cool song.
It is.
Too.
Massive introduction, goes for yonkers, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah. So, we're up to, and Brains. Well,
Brains.
We need Brains to do this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hobby, but it requires a lot of thinking power.
Yeah, it does. And for those of you out there, if you have connections to F1 races, we are happy to be your guests and have your tickets and go to the stand. And we will do a special presentation for you.
Yes.
To your corporate attendees. They want to know the history of Formula One. This is the first time we've really done a pitch, isn't it?
I was going to say, Louis, this is like,
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
It came from our experience at the 2025 Melbourne Grand Prix.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
So we're up to race 10 of 11 of the 71 season of the Canadian Grand Prix. It's at Mosport, September 19 and 64 laps, and the weather is wet and misty. So we already know the championship's all wrapped up, so now it's a matter of pride, I'd say. So this year's Canadian Grand Prix took us back to Mosport Park, and the event actually alternates between St. Hovit and Mosport.
A bit like the British Grand Prix with Silverstone and Brands Hatch, yeah. But really, does it even matter? Like, first of all, the championship's done, and that race from Monza was just epic. I don't think anything's going to top it at this point.
Yeah, I'm going into these last two races with some concern. Because how can we go from that Monza race, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
So for anyone who somehow jumps straight into this episode of the 1971 series, you need to do yourself a favour and go back to listen to the previous episode, which is 1971 Part 4.
Part 4, yep.
Yeah, that's where you'll hear the Monza race. That doesn't mean this episode is going to be boring, no. We'll do the best we can with what we've got.
Yes, so for this race, we have 27 entrants fighting for 24 grid spots. And we welcome American driver Mark Donohue, making his debut in a McLaren entered by Roger Penske. Painted blue, of course, because you got to represent the stars and stripes, even though you're in Canada. But anyway.
And in practice, Stewart and Siffert were instantly in a class of their own. And by Saturday, with track conditions improving, Stewart secured pole, followed by Siffert in the BRM and Siffert in the second Tyrrell.
Siffert is doing so well in that BRM. He is on a purple patch, always up at the front. Meanwhile, where's his teammate?
Okay. Ganley is like ninth or 10th. And Gethin is like 5, 10, 15, maybe 16th or 17th.
Wow.
And Marco further back. So
Jeepers.
I like to flag, and see Gethin's like, as I said, the winner of the previous race. And Marco, I like to point out Marco because I want to show that he was a back marker. And I want it to be known. I don't want him to get away with anything because he doesn't let anyone else get away with anything in this current era of Formula One.
And what about Donohue in his debut? What's happened to him?
Donohue is in the BRM, correct? No, he was in he qualified well. He was
McLaren. He's in the McLaren.
He was like 8th.
and his Holmes teammate. So where's
Yes,
Holmes?
and he outqualified Holm by point 0.1 of a
Oh,
second.
that's pretty good. Good on you.
Yeah, so good on him. Yeah. So anyway, Ganley, who was 0.8 seconds slower.
Yeah, you've already
is down
said
to
all of
9.
that.
Have I?
Yeah,
Okay.
you've already done all of that.
Okay, so I apologise because I was looking at my book, not
You were
the
looking at your
screen.
book,
Yeah.
yes.
So now let's go to race day instead, shall we?
Yes.
So there was torrential rain. And when the flag dropped, the spray was so intense you couldn't see a thing except for Stewart leaping into the lead.
Of course he did. He's the only one that could see. No one else could see anything, probably.
Yeah. So Siffert was actually an early casualty. Remember, he qualified second. He was blinded by mud from another car, and Schenken, Australia's hero, was out on lap 1 with ignition issues.
Not looking good already, but Stewart, he's already 3 seconds ahead by the end of lap 1, leading the march of Ronnie Peterson.
And he's having a good season too, isn't he? So behind them, a stretched out line presented with Beltoise, followed by Donoghue, Fittipaldi in the Lotus, Severt in the Tyrrell, and the rest.
Great start from Donoghue, already up to 4th. Where are the Ferraris, Louis?
Well, first of all, Donoghue on his debut, which is pretty impressive.
Yes, it is.
But the Ferraris, we haven't mentioned them. They're languishing in 7th and 12th. So not a good day for the Tifosi.
No.
And Regazzoni, he retired after spinning his Ferrari backwards into a guardrail, caught fire. Luckily, he got out unharmed.
I wonder if he got out in the 5 seconds. And not the kind of on fire I want the Ferraris in. Just saying.
And let's not forget, the start of this season, it was Ferrari won 4 of the last 5 races.
I know.
They were even really on that good fire the beginning of the year. Yeah.
That's right.
And now they're in bad fire.
They're on bad fires.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the race settled a bit, and Stewart now had a 6-second lead over Peterson, and this is about lap 7. And Beltoise was pushing hard, and he actually snatched second place, only for Donoghue to stay close and behind.
Beltoise, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, he's had a couple of race ban punishments, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was under investigation. So that's good. So he's up there.
Yeah. So lap 15, Donoghue dives into the pits for a goggle change, and somehow he gains a spot because Beltoise smashes into the guardrails and retires. So,
oh gosh, that's not a good comeback. Suspended for like most of the season, and then he's back, and then he's out.
yeah, he was suspended in and out, in and out. It's like he got, yeah, it was like a bit weird. Yeah, but not a good start to the season, or not recovery, not a good comeback, like you said. So now it's just Stewart and Peterson, and they're pulling away from the field, and the duel was really on.
Okay, well, it's no Monza, but I'm glad it's not a processional race.
Yeah, well, we needed this, otherwise we'd have had a big thud, right? So lap 17, Peterson noses ahead, but Stewart retakes the lead, and lap 18, Peterson takes it back again, and he holds it for 13 very tense laps.
I bet Stewart's not happy being beaten by a weird-looking T-tray car.
Yeah, they don't mention if it's back, but it's not Monza, so we assume that T-tray thing is back.
Is back, yeah. So, but it's wet and it's close, so interesting. Good skill on show here.
So we're about lap 31, and this is a 64-lap race. That's halfway. Stewart manages to retake the lead while Stewart and Peterson are lapping the tail enders. So, yeah.
No blue flags then? No blue flags here. Overtaking back markers was an art form. So no one was told then to move aside. I like that better. I'd prefer that.
Yeah, and there was no radio as well, remember?
No, that's right.
So the drivers had to look in their mirrors and all that sort of stuff. So normally when that happens, just a flag, normally it's the first driver, the leading driver, that has to let the back markers know, hey, we're coming. Because the back marker won't necessarily know, now it's lap 12 is when I should expect to be overlapped. No, they have to see it coming, you know.
That's
probably
right.
The leading driver probably pulls up alongside, lets them know I'm here, and then pulls back again. And then the driver knows, okay, I better get out of the way. I'm theorizing, but yeah. But then at about this time of the race, we're to about halfway mark of the race, heartbreak. While lapping Eaton for third time.
Whoa.
For the
Eaton,
third time.
what are you even doing out there, dude?
Yeah, poor Ian. He was in the BRM.
Oh, no.
Peterson made contact. His front wing got bent and the handling of his march started to suffer.
No, Eaton, what have you done? You've made this race boring again.
Oh, he damaged the march front wing. It showed that wing was doing something.
It was.
Let's give it some credit there. So Peterson stayed in second.
Oh, okay.
But Stewart started pulling away, obviously, because Peterson's got a bit of a damaged car. So Donoghue was way back, 45 seconds back behind in third.
Yeah, well, those three were the only ones on the lead lap.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Holm, who had a rough start from 10th, was carving through the field and made it up to 4th by this point.
So just when things started to stabilise, the mist started rolling in.
Yeah, and it's post-rain fog. So visibility got so bad that the organisers actually waved the flag 16 laps early.
Well, mist would have kind of set a romantic mood, but yeah, super dangerous. You wouldn't have been able to see anything.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that they made a safety call?
Yes, very interesting.
So Stewart wins again, his 6th win of the season, another masterclass of domination, especially in these changeable conditions, and we'll robbed a bit of maybe a showdown between Rob Peterson and Stewart.
Yeah, because of Eaton.
Yes, in the BRM.
In the BRM. The highs and lows of BRM this season, Luigi.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So we've got, I don't know. Well, Jackie Stewart extends his championship lead to 60 points. Ronnie Peterson's on 29. Jackie Ickx is on 19. Yeah, Severt's on 17. I think Ronnie Peterson might have it, actually. But anyway, with one race to go.
Well,
Tyrrell,
he does. There's 10 points. He's 10 points ahead. So.
Yeah, there you go. So Tyrrell is on 64, Ferrari's on 32, and BRM's on 30. So technically BRM could still get to second in the constructors.
March is on 32, by the way.
Oh, yeah, March is on 32. So, okay, interesting. We've got some interest in this last race.
And I think Ferrari's been on 32 for a while now. That number sounds familiar.
Yes, they have been on that for a while.
Okay, so we're up to race 11, the last race of the season, the United States Grand Prix. Watkins Glen, October 3, 59 laps. And the weather is warm and sunny. So to the final round of the season, and we're being brought back to a track that has had a major makeover. I wonder if it's had as good a makeover as was it Canada? Had the air conditioning?
Was that
was that Paul Ricard?
That was Paul Ricard had the air conditioning.
Yeah, okay.
But I think Canada did have a makeover, but no air conditioning. And same with here. Same here. No air conditioning here. You'd think the Americans would have gone for air conditioning, but they had new garage and pit facilities. The track was widened and extended by more than a mile. That's about 1.6 kilometres. And there was also new tarmac, but no air conditioning.
Okay. And here's the juicy bit. They upped the winner's prize to $50,000. So that was enough to be mentioned. That's how much it was. And Rosie, want to guess what that was in 2025
This is like one of your favourite things to do, isn't it? Okay, tell me how much is it in today's money?
It's a whopping $390,000 in today money. That's $50,000 US. Let's call it $400,000 US.
Yeah. That is funny. Like, it's big, but that is nothing compared to now. But it's still big. Like, we're in the millions.
That $400,000 US is what is that? The catering cost for.
Yeah, exactly.
A race or two.
Yes. But it did attract a big crowd, though, a big field, wouldn't it? Because it was big money back then.
Well, they had to because the championship was decided.
Yes.
Stewart was dominating. They didn't want a boring race.
Yes.
So, let's put money. Money will fix it.
Yeah. Well, it convinced Peter Revson to return to Formula One for the first time in 7 years. He joined Tyrrell. He joined the Tyrrell team for this race.
And of all the teams, that's a good one to join.
It is.
Yeah, it shows a bit of money in there, I think, to make that happen. How much US did he have to give? So, hey, if you're going to make a comeback, that's the team.
Well, he
Yeah,
was attached
the
to
Revlon
Revlon.
family. Yeah, the Revlon family is what funded all that. That's Revson comes from Revlon.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
Revlon comes from
From
Revson.
Revson. Yes. So practice was lively, essentially a new track to learn. So the new sections had banked corners, which produces very serious G forces. So tyre choice was critical.
Yeah, and Stewart, as usual, was leading the charge. The Ferraris and Holm were very close behind.
On day 2, Fittipaldi really turned up the heat. He was closest to Stewart, who still snatched pole, but the gap was just 0.016 seconds. So good on Fittipaldi there.
Yeah, that's really tight. And Fittipaldi's starting to show his colours a little bit, isn't he? Like,
Yes,
he's been a bit
yes.
quiet this
He
season.
has. Well, he's been driving a Lotus weird car sometimes.
Yeah, he's obviously not in that car this time.
He mustn't
be. He's in the Lotus Ford this time.
Yeah,
I don't think they brought the gas turbine thing here.
No.
Yeah. So Holm rounded out the top 3, then Regazzoni in the Ferrari. So the top 4 were all from different teams. So what I call classic 70s.
Yes. Okay. So race start, Holm nailed the launch, but Stewart reclaimed the lead before lap 1 was done. Like, how many times have we heard that this season?
Yeah. Yeah. Stewart just he didn't want anyone else to have the lead. It's like, nah. And obviously, I'm not going to make comment about Scottish people and money.
You just did.
I just did. I'm saying I won't say that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay. So he was clearly motivated by the $50,000. Who wouldn't be? In those days, that was a lot of money in those days.
So Severt must have also wanted the 50 grand because he was all over home for second spot. So the Tyrrells, they're looking good here again. They had a couple of shaky races with some issues, but yeah, they're up there again.
Yeah, okay. And behind them, we had Regazzoni and Ickx in the Ferraris trying to add to that 32 points. Then Siffert in the BRM, Eamon in the Matra, and Revson.
Ooh.
Out on lap 1.
Oh, so much for that. That's what happens when you've been out of the sport for 7 years. He qualified 19th, out immediately. Stick to cosmetics.
Oh, I think it's his family, but yeah, they probably tried to get him in the business, but yeah. So for the first few laps, Holm gave Stewart a bit of heat, but by lap 7, Severt slipped past Holm into second, and that trio then began pulling away together.
Meanwhile, Regazzoni in the Ferrari was cruising in 4th ahead of the so-called team leader Ickx. Yeah, I'm not sure that we should be calling Ickx the team leader anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, he was second in 70, like second in the championship, and he'll likely be second in 71, but we've got that Peterson battle with him. Oh, no, he can't. No, but Peterson had a 10-point gap.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's the leading Ferrari driver in points.
Yes.
But Regazzoni feels much more consistent to me.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Either way, Stewart couldn't pull away. By lap 10, the top 3 were still nose to tail. Then Stewart started struggling. By lap 14, he waved Severt through into the lead.
Yeah, he wouldn't do that.
Nah,
if he didn't
lightly.
Have a problem. Yeah.
50 grand and everything.
Yeah. That gets you a lot of haggis. So I'm sure that joke was made. I'm sure Stewart made that joke at this track. Yeah. So Holm, meanwhile, started having issues too, though. And Ickx passed both Ferraris. And Ickx isn't a Ferrari. Have I got myself confused?
Ickx is in a Ferrari, yes.
Ickx is in a Ferrari. He must have passed them both to move up to 3rd.
Go Ferrari. That's a rare good news headline for this year.
Yeah. And then by lap 12, Ickx passed Stewart too. And now Ickx was second behind Severt, who had built up a 6-second lead in that Tyrrell.
Oh, that's good. We're seeing some action. That's good.
So the midfield now saw Regazzoni spin and drops 4 spots, and Holm pitted for tyres, so that little group of 3 is all dismantled now. But all eyes are on the front because it was basically Severt versus Ickx.
So by lap 40, the gap was down to 2 seconds. The pressure was on.
And this is a 59-lap race, so we're getting towards the end here. But then heartbreak.
Oh, no.
Alternator started coming loose, and his gearbox began leaking oil, and he retired on lap 49.
Oh, you're kidding. there's no use having a V12 super engine if it can't finish races.
I know.
They really have not taken on the Repco challenge or lesson, have they?
No, they haven't.
Not at all.
No. So Sevitt now had a 28-second lead over Siffert, who was nursing a misfire. Now, Sevitt almost lost it because he spun on Ix's oil but kept it going to take his first ever Formula One win.
Wow, what a moment for him. Bit lucky, but he was up there. Like we keep saying, like you've got to be up there to win it. And he became the first French driver to win a Grand Prix since Maurice Trintignant. Remember that name,
Yeah,
Luigi?
I do remember that name.
He last won in Monaco in 1958.
That's a long time between drinks for the French,
Yes.
you know. And I'm going to challenge you. I don't know if I think his win was lucky. He was actually up there. Okay, Stewart
He was up there,
out.
but Stewart went out, Ix went out.
But he was at least ahead of Ix.
He was ahead of Ix.
It was like he was sitting in second. So the only luck was the Stewart bit, I think.
Yeah, I reckon Ix probably would have caught him though. He was on a charge.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Ix had like 3 things go wrong at once. So, yeah. So anyway, Siffert limped home in second. So Siffert up there again. Despite engine car issues, he still managed to bring it home. And Peterson grabbed third for March and Ganley fourth for BRM.
Yes, but here's where we have to acknowledge something a bit sad. This would be Siffert's final Formula One race.
Yeah. Such a good season.
I know.
Just 3 weeks later, during a non-championship race at Brands Hatch, his BRM veered off track, likely due to mechanical failure. The car rolled and caught fire, and Siffert, trapped underneath, tragically did not survive.
Yeah, he was only 35 years old, and in his career, he started 96 races, won 2, was loved by fans and his fellow drivers.
Yeah. His death sparked major safety changes. In-car fire extinguishers became mandatory. Remember the Regazzoni one that went off?
It went off, yeah.
He at least had one.
Yes.
Using BCF from aircraft industry. What's BCF?
I have no idea. Yes.
And direct helmet air supplies were introduced.
Oh, interesting. That is interesting. His funeral in Switzerland was attended by 50,000 people. A Golf Porsche 917 led the hearse through the streets of Freiburg.
And this was also the final race for Joe Bonnier. He had announced his retirement, but sadly, he too would lose his life at Le Mans in June 1972. So we're mentioning him because of an interesting history.
Yes, Bonnier was 42. He'd raced in Formula One since 1956, winning the 1959 Dutch Grand Prix. But beyond driving, he was instrumental in driver safety as a key figure in the Grand Prix Drivers Association.
He even served as a racing advisor on the 1966 film Grand Prix, alongside Phil Hill, Richie Ginther and Carroll Shelby. So if you haven't seen that 66 movie, you've got to watch that movie. It's awesome.
So today we celebrate Francois Severt's first win, but also remember and honour Siffert and Bonnier. So 2 important lives in motorsport history. And yeah, gone too soon.
Especially Siffert, because he was on fire. He really was. And only 35.
So that's the end of the championship. So to the standings, Jackie Stewart romped at home on 62 points. Ronnie Peterson comes second on 33. Severt third on 26. And Siffert ended up equal fourth with Jackie Ix on 19. So good effort from him in a BRM.
Yeah.
Speaking of BRM, they did finish second. So they overtook Ferrari there.
Yes.
So Tyrrell on 73, BRM on 36, and Ferrari equal with March on 33.
Yeah. Okay.
Not great.
Shall we wrap up the season?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So yeah, in the end, the Ferrari was no match for that Ford-powered V8 Tyrrell. They started strong, but reliability let them down big time. Great season from Ronnie Peterson, finishing second in that tea-tray car. Like, that's got to be a good effort from him. But yes,
It was
a dominant
competitive.
season. Yeah, it was a dominant season from Stewart in that Tyrrell. But I don't know, I did find it a bit boring, I must admit. And I know that we've had other dominant seasons back in the 60s with Clark, but I sort of felt like there was just a little bit more interest in those seasons. Maybe it's the way that we're digesting the races now, Louis. Maybe it's like even maybe Mike Lang doesn't go in as much detail as he did before. I don't know. It just seems like it was just a bit processional of a season.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I sort of get where you're coming from. And this is my recap. Like, what a great season for Stewart. He won 6 races and possibly could have won 2 or 3 more if it wasn't for some car issues that he faced. And this new Tyrrell car that was built in secret just came out of the box super fast. But it was not just about the car. Savert even scored a lot of points himself, especially towards the end of the season. So it showed that Stewart really wasn't a class of his own.
He was.
What really stood out to me was Siffert this season. That BRM did not seem like a competitive car because he was always well ahead of his teammates. And, at the end of the day, that great win in Austria, he would have scored many more points if there was more consistency with that car. And lastly, special mention to Ferrari. They were right up there for most of the season, especially the first half. But their cars just broke down so badly, and it just made the season boring.
It did. Yeah, there was no real challenger to Stewart.
Yeah, and they were on the front row lots of times. They had good qualifying pace, but their cars were just a train wreck. And I actually do want to acknowledge, great that Lotus gave that gas turbine car a few runs. It didn't do much. I appreciate the attempt. And, at the end of the day, I'm like looking forward to other seasons because this season was a bit boring. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And even Stewart probably was a bit bored, Although I hear that when drivers have said when they're dominating the race, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
So
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, just cruise and win. I don't think Stewart's going to have much trouble in this TP championship is all I can say.
No, he dominated. You'd be silly not to give it to him. And there was, he got to the front and he won. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting season for me.
Okay, and we say goodbye to Siffer. That really saddens me because I think he could have done something in Formula One.
Yes,
more. He did a lot already. But I think there was more to come, and he was starting to hit a purple patch. It would have been very interesting to see him going forward.
Yeah, in a proper team. I mean, in a.
Okay, BRM people, you know who to focus on now. I never said you were not a proper team, just for the record.
All right, well, we'll leave it there then. Thanks for sticking it out for 5 episodes. And, we'll be back with 1972.
Okay, after the TP episodes.
Yes, after the TP.
And a special mention, this TP episode of 1971, it's a lot more fun than the season.
Yes, we do have a very lively guest on who takes things in a very different view to how we've normally viewed the TP.
Yes, so you'll see you'll see some of the worst picks in TP history. So it's worth listening to it.
Oh dear. Okay. See you, everyone.
See ya.